So, I believe all children have characteristics passed down from their respective parents. I also believe that's a bold statement of the obvious, because when you think genetics, we all know genes are passed down to our kids. But what I want to explore is less about genetics and more about the social aspects. And I call it derived personality traits. And they're demonstrated in our kids' relationship with their friends, as well as in school, in certain subjects that they may struggle in. And then you also see it in their work ethic in certain areas and activities that they're involved in. And the question is, what is the degree that these traits are passed down from the parents? I believe there's an art in figuring that out, because it's a combination of the mother's strengths and weaknesses and quirks, as well as the father's tendencies and shortcomings. And what's very important is that parents are observant, because if you don't look, you may not recognize. And if you don't recognize, you may not apply that parental temperance in instances as you're raising your children. Allow me to share a personal example. And I'll go to when my oldest daughter was in elementary school and she struggled with reading comprehension. And as my wife and I talked and we wrestled with how to help her, we discovered that I also had that challenge when I was in elementary school. And so then we focused our time and energy to help her, and we made a point to be positive and supportive and understanding. Because in many respects, it wasn't her fault. It was an inherited trait that I passed on to her. And for me, I took it on as a responsibility to help her overcome that challenge. Now, we could have punished her, we could have blamed her, we could have told her to work harder and figure it out. And to be honest, that's not unnatural for many parents when their children are not meeting their expectations. So my challenge to each parent is to reflect on what are those derived traits that you see demonstrated in your children, and consider them as you raise them to be functional, independent adults.